What's up everyone, this is your boy Chris back with another reptile video. Today I decided to answer your question again for Red Eyed Crocodile Skinks. So in today's video, I'm basically going to show you guys how I feed my Red Eyed Crocodile Skinks when they're not eating well. If you're new to my channel and if this is your first time watching my video, my name is Chris. My passion is to help you guys raise your reptile in the best conditions as they can have. So if you have any questions in regards to red-eyed geckos or red-eyed crocodile skinks, feel free to write a comment down below and I would love to create a video like this to help you guys answer your questions in other time, every Monday and Thursday. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you're new to reptiles and you probably haven't heard what red-eyed crocodile skink is, right? So here is our red-eyed crocodile skinks. These are little tiny dragons that you can find in real life. They look really cute, right? They have an orange eye on their face and they're very shy and they're nocturnal, so they don't like to move, and most likely they will be hiding in the hide most of the time. So here is a better video. Have you guys seen a movie called How to Train Your Dragon? Yeah, that's right. They're the main motive. So when they came up with the ideas, they came up with the character to this creature right here. What a cutie, right? So I'm gonna put him back and show you guys my setup.
A few moments later.
So here's our worm dish for our red eyed crocodile skinks. You can close it and open it. This is really convenient when it comes to cleaning. But there are two reasons why your red eyed crocodile skinks is not eating much. Well, originally they just don't eat a lot. They just eat 2-3 mealworms at a time when they're eating. And as from my experience, they probably eat one time every 3-4 days or even a week. They can survive maybe until 2 weeks. So it is common to not seeing them eating much when you compare to leopard geckos. However, the best way you can tell if they're eating or not is when you see any dirt in the worm dish. Definitely that's a sign where they have been to the dish trying to eat food. And if you see any poops on the hide or substrates, these white marks, those are their poops. So when you see those poops and everything in your enclosure, you don't really need to worry about it. They're eating perfectly fine, doing really well. So don't worry too much if they don't eat a lot. That's a lot of common things that happens to red eyed crocodile skinks. But what I like to do to boost up their appetite, get them to eat more, is that I like to feed some insects that moves more than mealworms. You know, a lot of reptiles, they're very attracted to the moving insects. So if their insects is not moving much, then they're just not going to be eating them a lot unless they're super hungry. So me personally, I like to feed mealworms because they're cheap and you can get tons of them. And I do have a bunch of different reptiles, so I feed leopard geckos and red-eyed crocodile skink, white-eyed crocodile skinks, and many different things with mealworms, and it works perfectly fine. But if you have very little and you want to spend maybe a little bit more money into insects, what you can try is you can try like super worms. They're a little bit bigger and they move a lot more than mealworms, so that really works too. I don't recommend feeding one insects only every time. You know, if you eat a lot of insects with the same thing over and over again, I feel like they're just not gonna be happy with eating life. So I feed a bunch of different things. I feed superworms, mealworms, and dubia roach. And dubia roach is one of my favorite when it comes to feeding red eyed crocodile skinks. I have a couple dubias like running around inside this hide on the substrate. Not in here because they do escape very well, and that will actually make them more feel like naturalistic, since they do hunt food in the wild by hunting insects from the substrates or anything from the wood, hide. So that will give them more like a naturalistic feeling when you feed those reptiles. But anyway, if you put a lot of moving insects in the worm dish, that's definitely gonna bring them and make them eat more because they like to eat something when they're moving. So if you're feeding something that is already dead and that's not moving at all, then most likely they won't eat unless they're super hungry. And those are really, really not good either when it comes to nutrition. So make sure you feed live things all the time. And if I were to give you my recommendations, I would feed crickets or dubious because they do move a lot. However, crickets, for some reason, when my reptiles eat crickets, they have a really, really good nutrition, but when it comes to poop, it smells a little bit more stinks. It doesn't have a big change with the smell, but if you have a lot, like me, a lot of reptiles, it will definitely make some change with the smell and odor. So I like to feed dubious better because it doesn't smell much when they poop from eating those. So that is my tips. And if you can't find dubious or crickets in your stores, and only thing that you can find was mealworms, then my recommendation will be to place your worm dish as closest to the hide as possible, because they're so shy and they like to spend their time in the house all the time. If they have a worm dish right in front of their hide, they will just come out really, really fast and bite one of the mealworms or dubious or crickets and go back inside to eat. That's what they like to do all the time. So if you place mealworm dish close to the hide, that will actually help them to eat more, and you'll see them eating sometimes during the afternoon or during the night when they need to eat for lunch or dinner. If you don't want to do that and you want to just place your mealworm dish close to the door like I am doing, what you could do is just try to fill up your dish as much as possible, like have a lot of mealworms inside. That will actually make mealworms to move more. Therefore, it's gonna trigger your red-eyed crocodile skinks to eat more since they're moving more often when it was very few. So have a lot of mealworms inside the worm dish so that they can sense the movement sound from the mealworms, and you will eventually see them eating sometime in the day. You won't able to see them eating much because they're very protective and they're suspicious. So if you're watching them, they're highly likely going to be acting like they're dead and or stay in the hide most of the time. From my experience, I think around 3 a.m., 3 to 6 a.m., let's say, during those times, that's when they like to party and run and swim and eat and all those things. So if you place these enclosure in a room or in a living room, you will see them running inside the enclosure, and it gets a little bit lousy too when you have a lot of these extra decorations, because they do climb all over these and jump and exercise and all of those things. One time, in the morning, I was sleeping in the living room in the other house, and I had this same enclosure with the same pair, and around I believe it was around 4 or 5 a.m. and I hear this weird sound somewhere in the living room while I was sleeping, and it turns out it was them. They were just running around and doing some parties, and that's when I noticed, oh, that's when they like to come out and maybe like to eat. So if you want to watch them and you want to see them actually move around, make your place super quiet and dark, because that's the best environment for them to run around and come out. So keep it quiet and dark, and you will see them eating and exercising and all sort of those things. But yeah, in the conclusions, my best tip is to fill up the mealworms as many as possible so that mealworms can move more and it will trigger them to eat more. Or you can try feeding crickets or dubia roach, and you will start seeing them come out to eat those as well. For hand feeding, it's almost impossible. I have a couple of customers who do hand feeding for red-eyed crocodile skinks, and they really spend a lot of time to train them for doing hand feeding. I did mention this before, but they're super protective and they don't really like to be handled a lot when you handle them. So you really need to gain their trust and spend a lot of time watching them, feeding them, playing with them. In the beginning, I wouldn't do it too much right away because it will stress them out. But slowly, just try to gain their trust. And once you gain your trust, from them, then they will eventually come out and eat your food when you tongue feeding them like these. I tried it for about 2 months and still couldn't figure out how to hand feed. But when I see my customers hand feed them, it's really, really cool and cute too. So if you guys find the value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button and share this with your friends who owns a Red Eyed Crocodile Skinks, because this is one of the common issues that a lot of breeders face with the Red Eyed Crocodile Skinks. So hope this video helped you guys, for those who are Red Eyed Crocodile Skinks. And if you have any question, write a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to record this type of video for you guys every Monday and Thursday. And lastly, how was our setup? This is my personal things. I've been going with this pretty long and it's been really, really working well, and had a bunch of eggs this year too from my female. So write a comment down below and let me know what you guys think of my setup. But that will be my video for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later in the next video. Gecko.